Today is a relatively familiar topic to some, which I've covered off and on for like around 5 years. The subject is scam advertisements or live streams in particular on YouTube and Google, and most of you watching have probably seen it pop up in your feeds at least once during that time. Notable examples include Linus Tech Tips, Marco Style, or other large creators who have had their accounts infiltrated on YouTube, which allows hackers to then repurpose their entire channel into a crypto live stream scam. But today, I want to talk about how that problem has now leapt across platforms and infected Twitter. Quick side note, the way that they do this is by copying browser cookies. So if you save your login credentials for YouTube on Chrome, you are vulnerable to this even if you have two factor authentication enabled because they bypass it. I've worked with some experts here in the past and stripped the malware payload for one of the programs that they use called Redline Stealer. And basically, if you have a YouTube channel and you click the wrong thing, you can have the channel taken over by hackers and sold, the account sold to a broker, usually on the clear net, but sometimes on the dark net, and then turned into a crypto scheme to scam your followers. So always stay vigilant. Anyway, the issue of YouTube accounts being hacked, stolen, resold, and repurposed into a live stream crypto scam is very well known. It's been common for years. It's happening right now, even on the platform. But what isn't as well known and seems to be on the rise dramatically is the jump from YouTube to Twitter, where the scam is now being advertised directly into people's main feeds with blue check verified accounts participating in it on a persistent cycle. Here's the stuff I'm talking about. I'll just time lapse a bunch of them in the background for this purpose, but be aware that I collected these accounts over the course of about 3 days, right? Just casually scrolling. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, here, another one for the pile. Because all of them were showing up as official advertisements. The video they use shows Brad Garlinghouse, CEO of Ripple, and it's an AI generated fake, a deep fake, rather. He does not say these things. The giveaway he talks about is not real, but all it takes is one or two people falling for this type of thing for the scam to become massively profitable. Here's the part where you kind of just have to trust me, although everything I'm about to say is documented publicly on the channel in the past, so you can verify it if you want to, but I'm not going to bore everyone with all the context. This entire scam can be set up for just a couple $100 and typically rakes in tens of thousands of dollars per iteration. First, you buy an account. In this case, you buy what's called an aged account on Twitter that has been compromised months or years ago, and since then has been sitting dormant, simply retweeting things on a preset basis to make it look like it's active. You set up a phishing website, $10, maybe $20 to host it, and there's templates out there that do exactly what you need that get sold for that purpose. And then you buy Twitter ads with your deep-faked Elon Musk or Brad Garlinghouse video, whatever it is, with a QR code that leads back to your phishing website. That's basically it. In total, it takes maybe a couple hours, a little bit of tech aptitude, a tiny bit, and a couple $100 depending on scale, but this can be done by pretty much anyone, anywhere, at pretty much any time. Typically harvesting $10, $20, or $30,000 easily before getting shut down by whatever platform it's on, if it ever gets shut down. See, Twitter is rapidly becoming the primary target of this scam ring, I'll call it, but YouTube never actually did a good job stopping them in the first place. This right here, this is one of the early origins of the fake Brad Garlinghouse video that we see all over Twitter now. And it shows just how, in my opinion, negligent these platforms really are when it comes to moderation. The channel that posted this is called Brad G and displays quite a few videos about crypto summarized in 1 minute or these different series and playlists. These are not videos on the channel itself that they published. These are videos from what seems to be the official YouTube channel for Ripple itself, just kind of like reposted. Decent number of subscribers, decent viewership on videos. It's all botted traffic though. But what the channel also has is an unlisted video from 2 months ago showcasing the deepfaked scam ad with a QR code, and that QR code redirects to an active phishing website. Now, when you see content like this on YouTube or Twitter or whatever platform you happen to be on, you can report it, obviously. But for this ad in particular, it already has been reported numerous times. And YouTube actually responded in one case to a German user who filed the report and said, quote, "We've determined that the ad does not violate Google's policies." That means, make no mistake here, that there is a channel on the platform serving as home base for a falsified AI deception video from months ago that has been reported, reviewed, deliberately allowed to remain live on the platform, and is now proliferating across platforms, becoming widespread on Twitter using official advertising portals with no end in sight. I have to take a moment here to say something, and I'm sorry if this makes a few people upset, but it really has to be said. Twitter has gotten so much worse under Elon Musk when it comes to deceptive content. The level and quality of advertising has degraded so far and so fast, you are now being served literal malware and phishing ads on your general timeline. And yes, these advertisements get taken down eventually, usually, typically. But the nature of the scheme allows for them to be spun up on command, which means as soon as one goes down, another one pops up immediately over and over and over again. People are attempting to mute certain phrases that the scams use or cleanse their timeline, but it doesn't work because the scheme is now being fed into the actual advertising pipeline, which makes the level of harm it can cause orders of magnitude worse or greater than if it simply relied on compromised channels like it did on YouTube. Here's where things get tricky. The current variation of all this is a URL called investing-ripple.net, which was only flagged by one security vendor thus far. They usually get taken down and swapped out before most of the vendors can catch up anyway, which means that even people who are relatively careful can still end up being part of the target demographic. A website called Bitdefender did a pretty comprehensive analysis on the YouTube side of this whole scheme. They call it stream jacking over there. But what makes it also insidious is that the attack method, like I said before, circumvents two-factor authentication specifically for those of you using Chrome. Now, a lot of times people watch my videos and they say, what can we do in the comment section? And the sad answer is that you typically can't do anything. But in this case, there's a couple of things that are possible. They just have a price tag on them. For one, you can use a VPN, always helpful to have one of those active. And I've partnered up with a company called Surfshark for years, actually, who offers a solid option with separate infrastructure from NordVPN, as well as a warrant canary. But even further, there's this thing called Guardio, which is almost purpose built to fight threats like these. Even though only one security vendor flags the most recent URL as malicious so far, Guardio has flagged pretty much every single variation of this scheme almost instantly. I have an entire video about the service running a multi-hundred URL comparison, and I'm not trying to turn this whole video into an advertisement because that's really, really tacky, but Guardio is built to specifically defend Chrome users on PC as well as Android, and it's basically the best possible thing that I'm aware of to help stop this particular type of attack, scam, and threat. I partnered with the company a while ago during my whole I want to learn cybersecurity now YouTube arc, so there's a link down below for people that want to check that out with a special offer, but I won't harp on it. People always ask me, what can I do about it? So there's your answer. But the whole thing has one more layer that makes Twitter an even worse platform compared to YouTube, even though YouTube has reviewed these fake ads and said, yep, that seems fine to us, which is mind-blowing. And that layer is URL deception. See, Twitter has this feature, for whatever asinine reason, where the URL code is the only thing that matters for linking purposes. That may sound strange to some people, but here's what I mean by it. This is a tweet from conservative commentator Ben Shapiro. Before anyone freaks out on me, this is only for demonstration purposes. I'm not trying to make a political statement here. This tweet has a code on it of 1768325 blah, blah, blah. You get the point. That code is the only thing that matters when you click a link to the platform, which means if I take this tweet from AOC and swap the code at the end for the one from Ben Shapiro, I can have a link that looks like this, but goes directly to Ben Shapiro. The reverse is also true. Swapping the codes can make it look like you are, clicking to Ben Shapiro and then you just miraculously wind up at AOC. So why does this matter? Linking from one political extreme to the other when everyone is aware immediately after clicking and says, well, this isn't what I thought it was going to be, is basically useless. But what isn't useless is that if you create a fake Ripple giveaway with an AI-generated Brad Garlinghouse impersonation video, you can just take the status code, swap it for one of the status codes on one of his actual tweets, and then link to it from off-platform in a way where the URL is identical to what it would be if you were linking directly to an actual post from the man himself, which is an added layer of deception, allowing for schemes like this to be even more effective, especially with the whole everyone can have a blue checkmark now type philosophy that Elon Musk decided to implement. This tactic is far more effective on mobile devices when compared to desktop PCs and can also be refined much further. But that's also why the scam ads on Twitter are primarily targeted towards the mobile platform. And that's also why they use a QR code. QR codes embedded directly in the video circumvent a lot of traditional threat monitoring tools, which means that a scam ring, once relegated to stream jacking alone on YouTube, is now taking advantage of a multifaceted set of exploits on Twitter, spreading the issue much further than previously imagined. The funny thing, this is a relatively simple thing to fix. It really is. For starters, make it so that links reference a posting account as well as the tweet code, and then just have a human being, literally one human being, monitor your advertising pipeline or periodically searching YouTube under crypto keywords in particular to catch these schemes within hours instead of days, weeks, or more likely in a lot of cases, months on end. Remember, YouTube had these ads reported to them directly and then replied to that video or the report on that video saying it does not violate their policies. And now that video has been up for 2 months consecutively, directly linking to a phishing website. That's a pretty egregious lapse in platform safety, if you ask me. Bottom line, awareness, generally speaking, is the best tool to fight these things. And that's why I've continued to talk about this issue off and on for the past 5 years. Every time more people become aware and the potential harm that they can cause goes down, relatively speaking, but it's also frustrating because the platforms responsible for hosting it in the first place don't seem to care nearly as much as I do, even so far as to flat out ignore it at times. There are certain things you can do, like I said, Guardio and VPN services are linked down below. But if you have like crypto bro friends or family members or anyone you consider to be vulnerable to this, just warn them. That's kind of it. Closely examining these things usually sets off alarm bells and people figure out what's going on kind of fast. But right now we're entering another, oh my God, my internet money is going to make me a generational wealth millionaire hype cycle. And everybody loses their collective minds over that shit. So people's defenses, their mental defenses are weakened at the moment. So yeah, just be vigilant. Anyway, that's it. If you support the channel, check out the links down below, merch, social media, locals and Patreon, monthly subscriptions, etc. But I'll cut it there and stop rambling. As always, thank you all for watching and have a nice night.